David, obviously coming back off that Woking defeat, what's this week been like for you and sort of the group as a whole?
Listen, it's really disappointing. I keep saying the same stuff, and I know people don't want to hear the same stuff, but we're hurting. The fact that we couldn't get the result, we've obviously tried to be attack-minded. We just obviously found it hard to get goals with the group, and we've tried all different ways to try and score more goals. Obviously we played, I said that in the interview after it, Big Ash and Danny up front with Nick. Try to be really attack-minded, and we just could not find a way. They did obviously sit in a more defensive block because they just really wanted to get a point out of the game, and they managed to win it because we have got to open up to try and go and force the win. But again, like a lot of the games, as I said last week, we've just got an Achilles heel, we don't score enough goals. And it's really tough, you know. So again, coming in this week's not been easy, I've got to admit. We're gutted that we can't get the results that the fans, the chairman or the club want, you know. It's like not for the want of trying, not for the want of working. They've come in and we've trained as we always do. We always watch back the game, try and analyse it, try and give some info to players to try and help them for the next game, and then obviously then look at the opposition for the next one. So again, it's just been like any other week, we try what we can. It's just really hard, and I do have sympathy for players at times because they are working. It's just like trying to score goals, it's just been really difficult, and again, it's not for the want of trying. We didn't create enough last week. You look at some of the games before, we are creating a bit more, and we've obviously got even more attack-minded shape and a more attack-minded team, but for whatever reasons at times you've got to give the opposition credit, but you've also got to give us criticism and the fact that we just cannot seem to get enough goals.
I think it's fair to say in the last few weeks quite a lot of opposition managers have actually said, you know, good things about us, and sort of especially how hard we are to break down. I know, you know, you've obviously gone for it in the last few games in terms of like the lineup like you've just spoke about, but is it pleasing that, you know, defensively, especially since you've come in, we have been a lot stronger? I know, you know, the stats between goals for and goals against are very few and far between. Is that something that you can take a bit of sort of pleasing from?
Yes and no. I think it's all great that they had a lot better defensively as a group, and I give the defenders credit for that they've managed to not concede as many goals as they were doing previously, but that's all great, but you've still got to score, and that's been the case, even though I think some of the scorelines early in the season were not great, losing 4 or 5 goals at times. They've definitely been better from that point of view, and it gives you a better base to build on. But the only thing again goes back to what I said earlier, it's great having that base, and I'm pleased for the defenders, to be fair to them, because it has been a really tough season for them at times, like whatever reason, I've said it openly, like either making mistakes or getting exposed at times if it's because we're attacking, or whatever it may be, but at least that has been a progression in the fact that they're not conceding as many goals, but that's all great, but you still got to score, and you've got a better platform and a better shape to build on. The criticism is still within that. We still can't make enough chances, enough goals at the top end of the pitch, you know, and I say it's the hardest thing in football. People always say that, and again, as I said earlier, it's not for the want of trying. They've really worked. I mean, every day we're doing attacking patterns, crossing, finishing, trying to find all different ways that we can try and obviously hurt the opposition, and as you say, there's a lot of managers, and again, you take it for what it is, but they have been quite complimentary about every game we've played against teams. We've been hard to play against, without a doubt, and at least the players are definitely difficult to play. They're competitive, but the problem has been it's just not won enough games, whether it be for the start to the middle to the end of the season, and we sit here with 4 games to go in a really, really, really difficult position. I can assure people that if it's, I mean, I say I've not been here as long as some, but for the players been here all season, staff been here, they're hurting, we're hurting. It's just been really, really disappointing that we cannot seem to get the results that, to be honest with you, some of the games were due. And again, we are not trying to make excuses, and whether supporters think you're making excuses or not, I'm quite honest about it. They've definitely tried their best to try and get the results, but sometimes it's just not been good enough.
Let's talk about Halifax. Obviously the reverse fixture wasn't that too long ago, to be fair. Yeah. What was your thoughts on that night and that game, as you know, we came away with 3 points?
No, I remember it well. Kevin was still here at the time, and I think we'd come off losing to Oldham, and then we went to Halifax with a kind of plan. We sat in a bit of a mid-block. We'd obviously changed a couple of players around defensively, and it was a good base to build, and I think we did well that night because we were harder to play against. Halifax is a good team. I know they've had a little bit of bad form, but at that point, and they're still, it shows you how well they did early in the season, because they're still in the playoffs, you know, and they're still going for playoffs. And I think you can be critical. I'm sure they'll get that. They're fans that have not had as many good results recently, but it just tells you how many good results they had early in the season. And I remember going into that game and watching them. They're a very good team. They still do, and they are still a very good possession-based footballing team. They just haven't to get as many wins as they probably would like, that give them a position in playoffs securely. But the fact is they're still in the playoffs, which we'd all like to be. But I've got to give them credit to their manager. And watching the interview the other day, I thought it came across really well, just about what they're doing, and they're obviously trying to play football and they're trying to get results, as we all are. There's all different ways of doing it, but I do give them credit in how their style of play is good, and I know they've got a bit of a tricky pitch, to be fair to them, but I think it should be a good game this weekend, because the pitch here is quite good, and again we'll obviously go out and we'll give it our best to try and get a result over them. Not going to be easy because of their position in the league. They've got good players and I think they're well coached. So no, it's but like every game, and it'll be until the end of the season, and I stand here, we'll just keep going out there to try to win games of football. It will be tough because they're a good side, and we respect that, but like, as every manager says, you'll just give them the respect that they're due and try and get a result.